Hello, everybody. It is Heather Nichols here, and I'm going to do a little introduction guided practice to the Bowspring movement practice today. This is a floor practice. I posted a video of me doing it without any instruction in a few places and wanted to start. I'm going to start sharing some guided practices here on my YouTube channel and wherever else you may see this, so that you can give it a try and see, because there's nothing quite like experiencing Bowspring. Bowspring is definitely a deep and wide practice. There's a lot to it, and it's also something that you can dive into and start doing right away. And you learn over time more details of all the different things that you do with your body, and you really learn to move your body in this very integrated way, a very different way than what most of us are used to doing, and in a way that actually heals the body, changes the fascia, lubricates our tissue, and brings a lot of health and harmony and integrity to our posture. It opens our posture, it opens the front of the body, it strengthens the back of the body, it strengthens the core. It's just a beautiful practice. So we're going to jump right in. One of the things to be aware of is that in this practice, this particular one is going to be focused on lengthening and strengthening the belly. In Bowspring, we curve the belly, we lengthen the belly, and we strengthen it by doing so. You want to focus more on opening and lengthening as you start with the practice. You may find actually more of a sense of relaxation in your belly to begin with. And over time, you learn, as you lengthen and bow your belly, you learn to engage it along that long curve. And one of the ways that we do that is by dynamically engaging the glutes and the pelvis, and then also learning to dynamically fill and engage the ribs, particularly the back of the ribs. And we basically are moving our ribs and our pelvis in opposite directions. And that allows us to have the beautiful curve that we have naturally in our low back, which bows the belly, opens the belly, gives space to our organs. It actually allows you to have more of a waist, and things like everything just kind of changes from there. So I've got my little handy dandy mic. Gonna hook it on here and take you through this beautiful practice. So to start, just come to the back edge of your mat, and we're going to just bring your knees together, your feet together, and go ahead and slide. I'm going to go onto my left side. So I'm going to slide my left arm out, and I'm going to tilt my head and float my ribs, bring my right hand to the ground, and I'm going to bring my rib cage to the forward long edge of my mat while I take my pelvis to the back long edge of my mat. So my ribs are forward of my pelvis. And that is always the case in the Bowspring practice. And really in life, you want to always have your ribs be forward of your pelvis, and that allows the belly to bow. We're going to take our hands alongside your head, just above your ears. This is called ecstasy, ecstasy arms, ecstasy hands. And we're going to just slightly separate our knees. In Bowspring, the feet are actually both flexed and pointed, like the toes are relaxed. And there's a lot of really kind of detailed footwork that I won't go into here. But what you want to feel is a sense of engaging the soles of the feet to open the tops of the feet. You separate your knees and your feet about hip width apart, and lift. I'm lifting my left side belly off of the ground, so there's space under here. I'm dragging my heels back toward my butt to engage the backs of my legs. And you pressure your knees forward to take your butt back, and then Fill your ribs with your breath and start to give a pulse. Lengthen the belly, and you're just going to inhale, go long, and exhale. Draw your heels towards your butt, engage your glutes, pull your pelvis back and your sits bones wide. Fill your rib cage, and you look toward the top edge of your mat, just pulsing into this long bowed shape. Long belly. The belly is the longest curve. Inhale as you get long and exhale. Come back down, and we're going to take our arms up and just roll onto your back. This is called supine shift. So you're shifting your body back to the center of your mat. And we're going to take a moment here and lift the hips, pull the flesh of your glutes up and wide. The butt is always going up and wide, and you'll get an amazing booty from this practice. The belly is bowing, our low back is bowing. So I'm really placing my sits bones as much on the ground as I can. There's a hollow in the front of your groins and a sense of your pubic bone. Your pelvis is actually tilting. So your pubic bone, imagine there's like a waterfall going over your pubic bone. Your toes are relaxed. You can give a little drag of your heels back toward your sits bones. And then from here, I'm going to just roll my arms side to side and open the back of my ribs and the backs of my shoulders. So I want my rib cage to get really full here. You can take a big breath laterally into your rib cage and let that fill the backs of your ribs. So the belly is bowed, the neck is bowed. My head, my ribs, and my booty are pressuring into the ground as my neck, throat, and my belly are floating up into their natural curves. You're going to take your feet up. Again, flexed feet with soft toes. So we never want to lift our toes. That really activates our nervous system and closes down the front of the body. My knees are just slightly further away from my belly than 90 degrees. So the further away you take your knees, the more length you get in your belly. And in the beginning, you might need to have them a little closer. We're going to take the knees, keep your knees hip width apart and take them to the right. Your left sits bone comes up off the ground. And then you're going to take your arms to the left, keep your ribs full, and float your left shoulder blade off the ground. Pressure your head into the ground, bow your neck, bow your belly. Drag your heels back to send your knees forward to take your butt back, and breathe. Fill your ribs, lengthen your belly. And if you want, you can even take your arms a little bit up to give even more length. You could take your feet even further down. But as you do, keep your heels dragging back to engage your glutes and lengthen. Come back to center. And then we're going to go to the other side. The knees are hip width apart. Your knees go to the left. Keep the distance between your knees and your feet. Keep your toes soft. Keep your heels moving back. Bring your left, so your left glute is up off the ground. Your left shoulder blade is up off the ground. And you take your hands and your arms to the right. And you're really rotating from your ribs here. It's not just the arms that are moving, it's the whole rib cage. You look to the right, drag your heels back, lengthen your belly, bow your belly, bow your neck, and breathe. And you'll just feel, it's amazing. You can feel the fascia in your belly literally changing. It changes in texture and shape and the configuration. We're going to come back to center. Bring your feet down and just gently place your toe pads down first, and then the rest of your feet. Take your left arm up and roll to your side, and then roll onto your belly. Shift yourself back over onto your mat. Now here we're going to open the belly from a prone position, so belly down. So what we do is we set this up by taking, the hands are in what we call rose hands. So you have a soft fist and then the other hand is wrapped around. And your elbows are you're gonna walk your elbows forward and on the diagonal. You wanna actually place your elbows in a position where you can drag them back to pull your ribs forward. And you're gonna bring your ribs into, further away from your belly and your pelvis. Hollow your armpits here by pressuring your elbows down. Now walk your knees back toward the back short edge of the mat. And so you want to have basically as much distance as you can between your rib cage and your pelvis here. You're going to place your forehead onto your hands and your feet are up, flexed feet, soft toes, heels dragging back. Pressure your knees into the ground to bring the groins up off the ground and the butt up. Walk the elbows forward and reach your elbows wide on the diagonal. As you pressure your knees down, drag your heels back, engage your glutes, and you're just literally pulling your pelvis away from your rib cage and your rib cage away from your belly. Bowing the belly and lengthening it. Take some deep breaths into your belly here. And then keeping your feet hip width distance apart, you're going to take your feet to the right. So the rib cage stays in place and your hips, your pelvis and your feet are tilting to the right. And now you're lengthening along the diagonal with your belly. Pressure your knees down, take your butt up, and breathe into the length. Keep reaching your elbows forward and along the diagonal. Keep the heels dragging back. And then come to center and to the other side. So keeping the feet, the knees, and the sits bones all equal distance apart. Drag your heels back. Pressure your knees down and forward to take your butt back. Hollow the groins. Lengthen your belly. Breathe into that long, open belly. Come back to center. And you're going to bring your hands to the sides of your mat, your elbows directly over your wrists. Float your rib cage up. Pressure your knees down to take the groins hollow and the booty up. So your ribs, the back of your ribs and your butt are coming up. Your head is reaching slightly up and to the diagonal. So you bow your neck and your belly, push your knees down and come up, bringing your butt and your ribs up. And you want to come into all fours. We call this crouching your feet. So you're going to tuck your toes under. And you're going to bring your booty up, but keep the belly bowing. Now you're going to start to tilt your head to the left and tilt your pelvis to the left. Keep your ribs floating. And you get this long opening in the belly here. Bring your left foot down, left knee down, and sit your pelvis back as far away from your ribs, both toward the the bottom of the mat and the back of the mat, the back long edge of the mat. Reach your right arm forward as you draw your hips back. So the pelvis and the booty are going back. Your hands are going forward and you're bowing in length. Take a big breath. Come back up. And we're going to go to the other side. So now the booty goes over to the right. And take your foot, the top of your foot down. Sit back, and long. So you want to have as much length between the pelvis and your hands as possible. Bow your belly forward. Tilt your rib cage. Tilt your head. Breathe into the fullness of your ribs. And then come back to center. You could do that a few times if you want. Those are called waist makers. And when we do that action, we literally are, we're actually taking the fascia in our belly, and normally when our pelvis and our ribs are too close to each other, our fascia and our belly is like this. We start to lengthen, and the fascia and the belly, which actually moves along the diagonal, starts to move like this. That's how you actually get more of a waist. It's so waist makers. So there's a little practice for you. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll be posting more of these, and also have Bowspring introduction coming up on Zoom, a class that I'm doing, as well as a 4-month fascia lab immersion starting here in January, and lots of stuff on my website as well, heathernichols.com. Thank you so much for being here. If you have any questions, feel free to post them in the comments below and I can address them. Take care.